Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new video. And today we're gonna look at my purple eyeshadow collection and palette ranking. It is quite a bit of palette. I didn't actually expect it to have so many purple palettes. I will throw in one single shade just for like a bonus entry. And yeah, let's jump right into it. Also, I'm wearing the Cosmic Brushes Delicious Delights palette for the matte shades. So these three shades here. And then I have the Ensley Rain Flower Moon palette for the shimmers. So I have again these three shimmers, the Flower Moon, Persephone, and Dahlia. So that's on my face. And I think that's it for the starters. Also, hi, my name is Sasha. In case you're new here, I mostly focus on indie brands, eyeshadows, and colorful makeup. If that's something that interests you, then I would be very happy to see you here again. And yeah, let's just jump into it. There's a lot of palette to go through. Okay, so first I have the Little Cosmetics single shade. This is the shade Parsec, I believe. And this single shade is just absolutely wonderful. It has like a purpley pinky base, but it shifts green and gold, as you can see, and then it has this magenta flip as well. It's just so beautiful. And I've worn this as one of my Halloween looks, and it's just the most stunning shade. Yeah, this one is absolutely gorgeous and I love this. So I just wanted to mention it. And it's obviously at the bottom of these because it's just one shade. So that was like a bonus. And now let's start. I'm going from the lowest ranking to the highest ranking. So at the bottom I have the Devour palette from Unearthly, and that definitely doesn't mean that it's a bad palette. I actually really like this one, but it doesn't have that many purple shades, and they're pretty, but they're not like as insane as the other palettes. So this is how she looks like. And I mean, there are these two that are like purpley. This one has like a little bit of gunmetal to it as well. This one is very purpley. And then you have these two more like berry colors. So I don't know if you would count it more like a reddish or more like a purple. The shade Revenge is really beautiful. But we're gonna swatch the shade Demolish, which is just such a deep, sparkly, beautiful, magical shade. And I'm not gonna swatch every single shade, just like my favorite ones. And this is just so pretty. So the Devour palette, I really like this palette. The mattes are stunning and the shimmers are very nice and very sparkly, and they last beautifully on the eyes and they don't crease. I have review on this palette, so I will link it down below and I will put it in the little card here. I made a review about, I think, most of these palettes, so I will link all of them down below, and the newer one I will also link in the little card. But yeah, I really like this one. Then palette that I like a little bit more for the purples is the Fall Magic palette, again from Unearthly. This is my newest palette of this bunch, and it's higher ranked because it has more purples. It has one purple matte, which is this shade Snug, which is kind of like plummy shade, I would say. And then it has this shade, the shade Magic, which is kind of similar to this shade actually, but it's like a little bit more bright on the eyes. Like it has more sparkle and it's more metallic. Then there's the shade Enchanting, which actually looks almost the same as the shade Parsec. I'm gonna swatch them next to each other so that you can see that there's like... I feel like the shade Enchanting is just slightly lighter. But otherwise they're pretty much the same shade. And I love this. But I also love the shade Change, which it has this kind of like weird flip where it usually looks more silvery, but then it has this lavender flip to it. I think you can see that it's like kind of silvery gray, and then it goes to this lavendery purple shade. And these are stunning. These are so nice on the eyes. They look so smooth. They're really easy to apply, and Unearthly is definitely becoming my favorite brand, or like one of the favorites, especially with the shimmer formula. Then I have the Gourmand Girls Spooked palette. This is their first collaboration with Doodles by the Bunny, and it's their Halloween palette of last year. It has this beautiful holographic packaging that I love. This is mostly neutral palette with a couple interesting shades. You have these beautiful mattes. This one is more like a really vibrant, almost like a bluish purple, and this one is like a berry purple. And then you have this really nice duochrome shimmer that goes from deep blue to deep purple. It's really, really stunning. I think this time I'm gonna swatch matte shade. I am more into shimmers. I mean, I wear both of them, but I always get the most excited about shimmers. But I think this is like, when you say purple, this is kind of the shade that I imagine. So yeah, really nice. And this one actually builds really nicely on the eyes, and it's really easy to use. I think overall Gourmand Girls' matte formula is just impeccable. So that's this one. Then another palette from the same brand, and again in collaboration with Doodles by the Bunny, is the Haunted palette. This is this year's Halloween palette. This one has more purples. It has this shade called Bewitched, which is kind of similar to the previous one. This one is just slightly lighter, but then it has a lot of really pretty shimmers. This one is kind of like a pinky base with purpley blue sheen. This one is absolutely stunning. It's just such a metallic, like kind of periwinkle, light purpley shade. And then you have the shade Spectro, which is actually really nice as well. It's this one is like a satin shade, but it actually looks really nice on the eyes. And even though I'm not the biggest fan of satins, I think this one looks quite nice. But I'm gonna swatch the shade Ghostly, because this is just prepared to have a heart attack, honestly. Like, look at that. It's just so wet looking and so sparkly, and just... I just love this shade. So then I have the Ensley Rain Flower Moon palette, the one that I'm wearing today. And This is beautiful palette. It's mostly multi-chromes and duochromes and like special shades. This one is mostly like green palette with a couple of pinks and purples and a little bit of blue. I actually like the blue the most from this palette because it's just something completely different. But the purples are gorgeous. You have this blue to purple duochrome, then again this kind of like almost icy lavendery shade, and then the shade Flower Moon. I'm gonna swatch it for you because this one also kind of reminds me the previous shade, but this one is a lot more wet looking. And it has a lot of different shifts to it. There's like a little bit of green in it as well. And then you also have this shade, the shade Sprout, which has like a beigey, pinky, almost, well, kind of pinky reddish base that goes into beige, and then it shines like bluish purple. So it's a very interesting shade. I have shade like this in different palettes as well. So yeah, I'm gonna try to show you the shade Flower Moon. If you can see it in the reflection in the mirror, there's like a little bit of yellowy green in it as well. So very pretty, but there's only 3 max 4 shades that are purple, and this formula does crease a little bit on me. I have to really prep my eyelids, and even then I do get a little bit of creasing at the end of the day, especially with the shade Sprout. Then I think it was the shade April Showers, and then I think the shade Refresh, and maybe the shade Persephone as well. So yeah, some of these shades are kind of very jelly, and they don't last the best on me, which is a shame because this is a very expensive palette, and I would wish if they were a little bit better. I am planning on ordering the Twisted Tea Party palette, but only the empty palette. I don't think I'm gonna buy any singles from Ensley Rain because I don't know if the formula is as great. I'd rather fill it up with like Theramoon's shades or something like that. Then I have the Shot Cosmetics Moonfall palette, and this is just a small 9th pan. It's doesn't have that many shades, but it has this really nice purpley shade called Folklore. Then you have this kind of like berry shade as well as this. So I don't know if you count them more as purple or pink or red, I don't know. But I love this shade called Devotion. Short Cosmetics formula, especially for the shimmers, is a little bit more drier. But I quite like that because they usually last really well on the eyes and they don't crease. And this one is beautiful, kind of like mid-tone purple, right? It's not completely light and iridescent, but it's also not dark. It's such a perfect shade, and I love the undertone of this. So yeah, this one is just so pretty. And the matte formula is nice too. I think the mattes are a little bit creamier than I usually go for, but they're still really nice, and I love this color selection. So yeah, if you just want like a couple of purples, this shade is genuinely to die for. And I also love the shade Soulstone. I just usually like more these, like when I go purple, I like these more lavendery tones. These more like pinky tones. I mean, I wear them, but I don't think they look as good on me as these lavendery tones. I think with my eye color, these shades work better than these ones. Then next up, we have the Makeup Beauty Shop, and in collaboration with Martha's Makeup, this is the Serpent palette. She is so stunning. They came out with this at the beginning of the year. I think like February was the pre-order, and then I think I got the palette like April. I know that they've brought it back like twice, I think, and I don't know if they're gonna bring it back again, because now, at least when I was shopping the Black Friday sale, I don't think this was available. But if they ever bring it back, this is a perfect palette, not just for purples. This just is such a gorgeous palette, and I feel like wherever I would go, I would always bring this one with me because it just has the most stunning shades. I wore these purples in my previous video. It was kind of like get ready with me, and I created this purpley blue kind of rainy day inspired look. So I've worn these two if you want to see how they look like, and I've obviously made a review about this palette. And I love these shades. This one is kind of similar to the shade in Ensley Rain palette. It has like this pinky reddish base that looks also kind of beigey when you flip it, like right here. But then when the light hits it, or when you have it on the eyes, I think now you can see it, it's just like this bluey purple. And this shade is genuinely like a gel formula. It's so wet looking. I think you can see mostly the beigey color, but like the reflect is blue and purple. I think now you can see it. So yeah, on the eyes it just looks stunning. And if you like that kind of like glazed wet look, then this is so pretty. The shade Reincarnation as well. And I might swatch the Netherworld for you. This kind of also that like really nice matte purple that I like. And again, it's gonna be very similar. I have specific shades that I go for with purples. I think you, well, with every color, I guess. Even in the green palette video, I was always drawn to the same shades because that's just how I work. Also, in case you want to know which color will come up next, I will post like some kind of story on my Instagram. Not right now because I have a lot of things to do, but eventually. I think last time when I was deciding, I was asking you whether you wanted to see orange, purple, or I think the third option was pink. So you decided for purple. I think it was like 90% of the votes were purple, so that's that. But I was thinking maybe next time I could do orange. I will definitely let you know on my Instagram, and you can vote and decide. But yeah, maybe, or maybe I could film something in December, and I could do like a blue eyeshadow collection, because I do actually have quite a lot of blues, and I'm about to get the Winter Wonderland palette from Cosmic Brushes. So if you would want to see blue next, let me know down below, and also give this video a like. So yeah, this is this palette. Also, if you like more berry shades, the shade Apopis, so stunning, so stunning. So that's this one. Then I have a palette that's definitely not available, and I don't think it's ever gonna come back, and it's the Oden's Eye and Annette Oberstadt, or Annette's Makeup Corner, and it's the Giant Wolves palette. I love wolves, so even if this was like empty palette, or like, I don't know, there was like grays in it, I would still buy it, and I would still keep it because This is just gorgeous. And almost like half of the palette is purples. Now we're getting into palettes that are predominantly purple, or there are like multiple purple shades. So you have these three shimmers, then you have this kind of more like a pinky purple, and then you have this more like a grayish purple right here, and the shade Cosmos, which is more like blue purple. I think I'm gonna swatch. We're gonna swatch the shade Cosmic for the matte. Is it the same color? Of course it's the same color as before. But it's so pretty. It's like a very deep blue purple cool tone shade that makes me happy. Maybe I should also swatch. So I'm gonna show you the shade Ablaze as well, so you can't complain that I have the entire arm swatch with the same color. So this is the shade Ablaze. It's kind of more like a pinky, very, very vibrant shade. And then for the shimmers, I have to show you the duochrome or multichrome. I already have dip in it. It's mostly, whenever I use this palette, I either use the greens or I use this shade. So this is the shade Eternal, and it's like a lavendery purple switching to blue, like a periwinkle blue. And it has a little bit of like a greeny gold speckles in it as well. It's just such a magical shade. Here you can see it on the finger, like you can see the green gold flip to it, and then like that bit of blue. It's just very pretty shade. Now this one is creasing on me a little bit. I think it's mostly because it's quite old palette and the formula isn't, you know, isn't at its best. I might also swatch this shade. These are like really interesting undertones and like shade selection. And these shimmers, I've noticed that are they are getting a little bit drier. I think you can see that there's like skipping, but it's also very pretty, and it kind of has that like hollow effect. Like, I don't know if you can see it, but there's like so many different speckles in it. It's a very pretty shade. I just wish that it wasn't as dry nowadays. But that's kind of inevitable with older palettes sometimes. And I think these are like 3 years old now. So yeah. That's her, and she's gorgeous. Now, I have the Little Ghost palette by Udens Eye in collaboration with Angelica Nyquist. This is their Halloween collection. And these are so pretty. You have deep purple, light lavendery purple. Then you have this shade which looks pink, but it actually has like purpley blue sheen to it. And then you have these two matte purples. I might actually swatch the matte one for you. Now this one I wish was a little bit more pigmented, but with the shade Little Ghost it actually looks really nice on the eye. So this is how that looks like. And I'm also gonna swatch the shade Boo to show you the flip. And I might have to, I'm gonna swatch it on my palm. So I hope you can see that it just kind of Can you see anything? There's like a pink base and then this bluer, like blue purple sheen, and it's so stunning. And again, this is kind of that more like a wet look effect. So that's this one. Again, love her so much. Then I have the Delicious Delights palette. Also, when I'm gonna get the Winter Wonderland palette, I will add it to this clip, so I hope that's not gonna be a problem. But right now I have all of them with me, so I wanted to film the video and then I'll just add the Winter Wonderland palette when I'll get it and when I'll make my decision about it. But I have the Cosmic Precious Delicious Delights. This is the pastel palette that they came out either end of spring or beginning of summer this year. And you have very beautiful purples. You have 3 purple mattes, which I'm wearing today. Then you have this purple shimmer, which has like a little bit of a greeny gold shift to it. Then Sugar Plum is like blue to purple duochrome. Then you have this shade that goes from like a purpley magenta color into green. I don't know, yeah, you can see in the mirror that it's kind of like a very poisonous greeny yellow. And then it looks purpley pinky from the other side. So which shade am I gonna swatch? I'm gonna swatch this shimmer because it's magical and I love it. It's the shade Frosting. Like, I mean, come on. Is it the same as these two? Kind of. Well, not the same, but it's similar. But it's just so pretty. And I love the combination of purple and green. So for me, a shade that flips between purple and green is just the best thing that could happen. The best of both worlds, right? And then I guess we're gonna swatch the shade Milkshake. Sorry, I can't speak today. This is such a vibrant pastel purple. It's not as light as the shade from the Angelica palette, but this one really like pops in the, especially in the inner part of the crease. Like, I'm sorry, but this is such a pretty shade. And look how vibrant it is. And that's what I love about these pastels, that they're still like really pigmented and vibrant. So that's for her. Okay, so I would put the Winter Wonderland palette on the 3rd spot after the Gothic palette and the Gourmand Girls palette. And the reason for that is I love the purples here. Like, all of them are amazing. I think I love the most the multichromes, these two, the Shift Purple. But the mattes are kind of similar to the ones that I have in the Nightshade palette, and so are some of the shimmers. And except the multichromes, I think I have all of these shimmers in some of my palette. But I like the Nightshade. It's kind of I don't know, different. I love that there are some deeper purples, and I don't know, I like this one slightly more than, well, like, it's more unique, I guess. The undertones, the mattes are kind of similar. I mean, these are kind of similar. The deeper purples, this one is more berry like, but yeah, they're not that different. But I think the shimmers, the dark shimmers, kind of make the difference for me. But I still think that the Gothic palette is #1. Just because, I mean, I love the purples here, but I also think that this palette is more interesting for the darker shimmers, the darker purples. and I don't want to switch the Nightshade and the Gothic palette. So I guess this is gonna be on the third spot. I'm gonna show you the multichromes. I'm gonna swatch them for you. Not really sure where, but so you can see this one is teal to purple, and this one is kind of purple pinky to greeny, and slightly and like a light bluish color with a little bit of tealy. So they're both super pretty, super unique in my collection. I don't think I have either of them in my collection, but I think I'm gonna put her on the third spot, even though I love this palette so much. I think maybe also I could swatch the shade Breathe. It's a very interesting shade. I'm gonna get stains from this one because this one stains when you don't put primer underneath, but it's such a nice, I think here it looks even lighter than normal, but it's a very nice deep, yeah, on the finger it's more, it represents the finger swatch represents it better. It's like a very deep midnight purple, and I really like this one. But all of these purples are beautiful. I just think that the Nightshade may be, I just think that the Nightshade is maybe slightly different from what I normally have when it comes to purples. And it's kind of also similar to the Delicious Delights, but not the same. They're not the same, but I kind of get the same vibe out of it, unless I use the multichromes. So that's why she's on the third spot. But the rest stands, and I still love her. She's amazing. And then I have the Nightshade palette, again from Gourmand Girls and Dooless by the Bunny. Now we're getting into palettes that are predominantly purple, like pretty much purple palettes. So you have this palette which has 3 matte purples, pastel middle shade like mid-tone, and then this really deep purple shade called Woody. And then the shimmers. The shade Dream Shade is kind of similar to, God, which one was it? I think it was this shade, right? No, this shade. This was the one from the Haunted palette. So this is kind of similar to the shade in the Haunted palette. Then you have the shade Hypnotic, which is beautiful, satiny, just stunning shade. I love the shade Poisonous because it's so dark and deep and just yummy. This is kind of like a plummy shade. I mean, come on, this is so gorgeous. And again, it has that like metal flip to it, so it's like kind of like this deep grayish silver that goes to this extremely bright purpley purpley tone. And then I will also show you the satin shade because I actually really like this one, the shade Hypnotic. Where am I gonna put you? Here. I swear, filming these is always like, it's fun, but it's also messy. So this is the shade Hypnotic. It is so wet looking and so gorgeous, and it's kind of like this matte shade but in a shimmer form. It's kind of like between typical shimmers and satins. It's too shiny for a satin, but it's too smooth for a typical shimmer. I don't know how to describe this. It looks really nice in the inner corner if you don't want a completely like blinding inner corner, and it's just stunning. And now that I'm looking at these shades, I think this shade from the Little Ghost palette would be so pretty as a highlighter, like a face highlighter. And then the absolute winner when it comes to purple palettes, like this is the ultimate purple palette, is the Cosmic Brushes Gothic palette. This is their smaller palette. It's the 12 shade palette. It came back in stock on their when they were releasing the Winter Wonderland. So if it's still available, definitely go for this one. And this one is beautiful, just absolutely beautiful. You have these kind of like lavendery shades, these like orchidey shades, and these like bluer shades. You have a little bit of like this neutral corner over here. It's just so stunning. I'm gonna swatch the multi-curl for you, even though I think it's more like pinky to green, with a little bit of beige. But I'm gonna swatch it, because why not? It has like a little bit of purple sheen to it. And then on the eyes, it looks more like berry-like. And then I have to swatch the shade Phantom. This one, it's kind of like a berry shade, but I absolutely love it. And I love pairing this with the pastel shade and then with the black. It's just, it looks so gorgeous on the eyes. And I really like this shade. So that's the Gothic palette again. I've made a video about this. I love her. I've used her the other day with the Mika Beauty Shop for the like rainy look. So if you wanna see her in action, and I also have a review about this one. But yeah, she's just so gorgeous. I can't get over how beautiful she is. And if you've been looking for purples, I think this is like such a perfect color story, and it's not too big. I think I also had the Menagerie Cosmetics, god, what it was called, Flight Club, I believe it was. I think it was also 12 pan, and it had similar vibe to it, and a couple shades were similar. This is way better. It's less expensive, and the formula is just so much nicer to work with. So definitely would go for this. Cosmic Brushes do have very inexpensive formula, and they're definitely worth it. So here are all the shades. And here are the mattes. I know that the mattes are mostly the same shape except for this little corner, but I like what I like. And the first palettes didn't have any pastel shades. But yeah, these three I think I would use the most for a whole look, because this is my favorite color story. These are just like the best mattes from these palettes. And I really like this kind of undertone, but if I were to actually do like a purple look, it would be with these three mattes probably. Maybe I would use this shade as well. This one is from the Giant Wolves palette, so I might use this one as well to kind of throw it in there. And then from the shimmers, I think my most used shimmers, or like the shades that I would go the most for, would be probably this shade from the Nightshade palette. then one of these two, then this from the Short Cosmetics palette, and then also here. This one is also from the Nightshade, if I remember correctly. So yeah, those are definitely the ones that I would reach for the most. I love all of them, obviously, but just, you know, if I could only, if this was an actual palette, what I have on my hand, these are the shades that I would go for, and I would prioritize. So anyways, that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I will have a lot of cleaning to do. And let me know if the next video should be with blue shades, or if you want me to post like a reel or like a story on Instagram, and so you could vote. And I hope you have a great day. Let me know which purple was your favorite, and I will be very happy to see you in my next video. Have a great day, and I'll be happy to see you again. Bye!